Brain breaks also help manage behaviors and engage your child. Brain breaks are shorter than a recess, and they help manage behaviors and re-engage your child. A brain break is a short period of time when we change up the dull routine of incoming information through repeated pathways in the brain. So you have been sitting here since 6 o'clock tonight on this webinar, and we have been feeding you information through the same pathways in your brain, and you're probably starting to lose interest, motivation, engagement. The very same happens to your child when those pathways are continually being used and the rest of the brain is not alert and awake. So we want to wake up the rest of that brain. So we want to ensure that your child takes brain breaks before fatigue or distraction set in. And we can schedule those brain breaks into the schedule. We can have them at timed intervals, or you can have them after your child completes specific tasks. Brain breaks can be as short as 1 to 2 minutes, and they can take place in the learning environment, right where the child is working, or they can be a little longer and take 3 to 5 minutes. So I am going to have you engage in a brain break and see if we can light up some parts of your brain and re-engage you in our content before we finish up our content for tonight. So I do want you to take a look at this picture. And I want you to think about how many animals you're seeing and identify whether it's one animal, 2 animals, maybe more, and identify those animals. If you're sitting with a partner, go ahead and tell them what you're seeing. Now, hopefully some of the pathways that have not engaged since 6 o'clock are starting to engage in your brain. And some of you might have seen this eye of a duck, and this is his bill out here. And some of you might have seen this as ears of a rabbit. And this is the rabbit's head and his little nose right here in his mouth and his eye. So some of you might have saw both animals and you're like, woo, yay, I did it. And some of you might have only seen one, and some of you might have not seen an animal at all. And that is perfectly fine. I'm going to show you, this is called Optics for Kids, and it's a great way to engage other parts of the child's brain. So they have lots of choices down here, and you could pick one a day. And this is the one I chose for you. And then it gives you the answer. So look closely. You should be able to see a rabbit and a duck. And that will be connected to the PDF you get in your resource packet. So let me go back because we have other ways to engage the brain. We can get up and do jumping jacks. School Noodle is a fun little site on YouTube that has really short videos and on yoga stretches or just getting kids to wiggle and dance. Stretching, try a pose, skip, dance, or just let your child doodle. Listen to a song, meditate, and then the optical illusion. So hopefully you're engaged, your brain is firing, and you're ready to engage in the rest of the content. Here are some sensory ideas for breaks for students who need that sensory stimulation. And they're built in as part of, they can be built in as part of your daily routine or your schedule. You have, at recess, you could go on a color walk and collect all of these wonderful different colors on your walk. Sensory balls are made for students who need something tangible in their hands to engage with. and you use balloons, salt, rice, and we have instructions for this in our resource packet. Spaghetti worms are fun for kids and adults alike, and they're fun to make. And in the home, made Play-Doh and the sand foam. So depending on the needs of your child, you might want to build in some sensory ideas for your child into their schedule. You saw this earlier if you were on for the whole PowerPoint. You saw this earlier in early childhood. And Jody did mention that it's good for young students, but it's good for all students. Sometimes it's even good for us as adults to be able to name what's frustrating us, right? And to make us take that step back. So kids will often get frustrated, especially in those elementary, middle, high school years when the work is too difficult or when they're just ready for a break. When this happens, you do want to engage with your child, be present, be that active listener, and have them state their feeling. If your child needs visuals, you can use a visual emotion chart for your child to say whether they're sad, angry, frustrated, maybe tired. And if possible, you want to be able to you want to try identify the trigger. What is triggering this frustration? And it might take a while. The first time you might miss it, but you'll eventually start to see a pattern. And it might be every time they have a writing activity. And if they trigger every time they have a writing activity, you're not going to remove that writing activity, right? We want them to engage in writing, but you might work with your child's teacher to get some more supports for writing. So writings is more accessible to your child. They might trigger right before lunchtime. And then you would know that you would want to introduce more snacks throughout the morning. They might trigger right before a quiz, and you could have that conversation about how a quiz just lets us know what was learned and what needs to be retaught, and that it's good and it's okay not to stress about a quiz. So trying to find that trigger, remove it, or get extra support if you can find that trigger. And then after they stain their emotional state, you want to start in some of those brain breaks and those calming activities. So breathing exercises, listening to their favorite song, move them away from the area. You want to give your child some time, and then when they're ready, you'll transition them back to work. So how do we keep our kids motivated at home? It can be a real challenge. How are you currently engaging your child in work and motivating your child? Motivators do help keep a child engaged, but it needs to be something that the child wants. We sometimes see stickers being offered as a motivator, but if your child does not care about stickers, it's not going to motivate the child to do the work. So you want to talk to your child. We've offered you a list here of the bullets, but what we want is for you to talk to your child, to ask your child, what are they willing to work for? So it might be a toy, time off from chores, going to a ball game, backyard camping, pizza, stickers, movie night, or choosing a dinner for the family. And so just some options of what your child might work for. So for our younger guys, you might want to offer them a visual of how close they're getting to what they're working for. So in this first picture, we have a car. In here, the child will say what they're working for or put a visual in here. And then they're going to move the car throughout the day or the week. So the reinforcer could be given at intervals. It might be given after each task. It might be given after a day's work. It would depend on the child and the need of the child. And when your child gets to the start, they again what they were working for. Down here below, we have, oh, I went to, let me go back. Down here below, we have a typical token board. And again, Your child will state what they're working for, and then they need to get 5 stars in order to get this prize. And it can also be done at intervals or random, depending on the needs of your child. And then the reinforcer menu. These are just some ideas of what a child might be willing to work for. So I'm going to show you just a really short video on how to use a token board.
Hi, this is Sasha from the autismhelper.com. Here's a quick tutorial on using the I am working for system and choice board. So here I have a few of the students' preferable items or common items preferred in our class. And when the student comes to this station, I keep actually one right at every station, and they can pick what they want to work for. So if he wants to work for Cheetos, he puts it here. And then it depends on the kid. Sometimes after a few responses, we'll give a star, or after one task, we'll give a star. The stars are kept on the back, which I think is so important, or else, honestly, you lose them. So once the child does something good, or if we're using this for behavior, academics, give 1 star, and kind of continue on doing that until you get all the stars all up to the end. And once they get stars up to the end, they get the Cheetos. This is a nice visual way to break down the reinforcement the child's getting. And I think this really helps kids with autism understand more intermittent reinforcement. They don't get the Cheeto every time they do the response, but they know that it's coming. Thanks for watching. And for more tips, resources, and materials, come to the autismhelper.com. Thanks.
So that was a video from Autism Helper, but token boards can be used across the board with our typical developing students too. So what will our teens work for? So they might work, and you want to have that conversation with your teenagers too. You want to know what they're willing to work for, and their reinforcer might look very different depending on their needs. So they may have to get a full days of work done. They may have to get a full week of work turned into their teachers, or they may have to do really good on a unit test. So you might have different ways to motivate and different reasons to motivate your teen. But they could have dating privileges, having friends over, dance music lessons, a trip alone, the car as a privilege, staying out late, sleeping in late, video chat, or going to a concert. But again, have that conversation with your teen and see what they're willing to work for. What can you do when your child gets stuck on a task or is having a difficult time even starting a task? Gaining behavior momentum is a strategy that entails making requests that are easy for your child before making requests that are more challenging or difficult. By following a pattern of easy, easy, hard, easy, easy, hard, you increase your child's motivation to engage because you're building in many opportunities of success. And we all want to be successful. So you can use this strategy if your child is struggling to get started or in the middle of a task and finding it difficult to finish. The elementary sample, you might ask them simple verbal questions that you know that they know the answer to. So the color of their shirt, their age, label items, and give them that reinforcement. For the secondary, if the task is extremely difficult, they can work on those easy pieces first and then start delving into the more difficult parts of a task. As adults, we do this without even thinking. We get a task in our jobs at work, and at first it seems very overwhelming, and we break it down into pieces that are manageable. And this is a way to teach our kids to do that too. We have tools and strategies for keeping our kids on task, and we went over a lot of these in our presentation tonight. Those to-do lists, checklists, using that visual calendar, daily routines, schedules, prompting, reinforcements. These are all ways to keep your kid on task. And we hope tonight you take a couple of these away with you. But in our digital age, there are also apps that help keep a kid on task. So we're going to show you a really short video on just a couple of iPhone or smartphone apps that you can download.
Here we have a selection of free visual timers. This first timer is a timer that's pretty much used throughout the district. As you can see, it counts down the time remaining, and the time remaining is highlighted in red. This next timer is a little bit more fun. It's a timer that I use in my own household. Here we have, it's a little simple egg timer, but here you can actually show your child what's going to be happening next once the timer ends. So this is really pretty fun. They can watch the egg hatch. Time's up. There's the cat. And this is where it would remind the student or the child what's going to be happening next.
So again, we hope that some of these strategies are helpful. We hope that you got to take away one or two, maybe building routines, schedules, how to identify a state of emotion that you can take with you tonight. If you need more support and behavior that is not met through routines and schedules, please reach out to the MTSS hotline using the number posted on this slide. We are going to be here and we're open for questions. Thank you.
Hi, Lisa. I do have one question. We had a comment that's from an attendee who said it's harder now to find something for them to work for with COVID. So do you have any suggestions during this time?
So thank you, Mary. I am going to draw on the expertise of our team and our panel. And ladies, if you have any ideas that could help in our current situation, if you can throw them out there, we'd be grateful.
Hi, my name is Bryn Hall. I work for Washoe County. Obviously, I'm a special education administrator. And it is, I agree with you, it's so difficult to find things during this time that especially those teenagers are really willing to work for. My recommendation would be to just sit down with your teen, have a conversation, ask some survey-like questions like, if you have free time, what do you like to do? If you had, $20, what would you do with it? Talk about like family members that you would prefer to have like a special time with. Like I know one of my friends, her teen, they spend individual time with that teenager. So like the mom spends time with that teen, and then later on in the week or the next week, the dad spends time with that teen, just that one-on-one time. So my recommendation would be to just sit down, have a conversation, and survey their kind of needs and wants during this time, and line up some reinforcement that is going to encourage them using those types of things.
Hi, it's Trisha Lozano. I'd like to also add that being in nature is so good for your mind and body and doing those walks. So I think that I know it's starting to get a little cool, but having that opportunity can be nice. And also cooking with your child, whatever age they are. I believe most children do like doing that, even if they may seem like they don't. I think they do. So those type of opportunities, as Bren mentioned too, spending time with your child are good ways to have reinforcement for them.
And my next question is, if a family would like to work with a teacher to set up the schedule rather than doing it on their own, how would they go about doing that?
Hi, I'm Jen Hodges. I'm one of the special education administrators. And so if you just contact your child's teacher and say that you would like help creating a visual schedule, typically they'll get to either the facilitator to get some help creating that schedule, or the teacher can build it for you. I routinely build schedules for parents of my students.
Thank you.
I have actually had this happen. There's been parents at school sites that have requested schedules, and my recommendation was always just to have the teacher send her schedule home and try to mimic that schedule as closely as possible at home, so that when they have those virtual meetings, then the kids that are in person are working on similar things that they're working on if they're at home.
And I received another question, and it asks, how do I motivate my teen who is only motivated to go to school for the social piece? And now that he is in school, or that now that his school is all distance, he's saying that school doesn't matter to him. It's very difficult to motivate him right now. And thank you for the nature and cooking answer. Great ideas. So with the social piece and the school on full distance, do you have ideas on how to motivate him?
Well, what I could say is that one of the things that I do with my own personal teenager is she will FaceTime with her friends during a movie. So you can offer that as motivation, saying, okay, you guys can all watch a movie together separately in your own homes over FaceTime.
It doesn't seem that I can start my video, but this is Hillary Ray. I am a special education facilitator for the Washoe County School District. I would just add on to what Jennifer, Jen Hodges was saying. And if you're comfortable with setting up a one-on-one social time for your child to hang out with a friend from school, that might be something that you can discuss with the other child's parents. Maybe the students agreed that they're going to wear their masks when they're together, but that they can come over and have, maybe an hour of social time together, go to the park together, go for a hike together, so that they're still connecting socially with their friends. But, obviously they're able to do it in a safe way at this time.
And I just wanted to add to that a lot of things that are happening academically through distance learning are happening on Teams, which is a social forum. And so for my own middle schooler, she likes to get on and chat about the assignment. And so if you can find a way to motivate them to actually interact about the activities, or say, if you complete this assignment, then you guys can chat on there for the next 15 minutes, it'll help build that social piece into the academics. But I do know it's hard to get them really motivated to get on and do the schoolwork. But Teams can be a great online forum just to connect with their friends as well.
Is that something, Katie, that a parent could ask the teacher if that's a possibility with the class to get on Teams and do it that way? Because some students are using Edgenuity full time. And so I'm not sure about the Teams component with that.
Yes, good question. All students have access to Teams. We can log in through the school district website and use your student number, and it will log you into the Teams forum, and you can make your own chat groups on Teams. And then some teachers, many, are posting, although they're doing Edgenuity, they're posting other assignments on Teams. And you can get on and create a posting and then tell me what you thought, and they can chat with their friends about it, or their classmates, or even ask their teachers questions on Teams. So if you do need help finding how you can access Teams, please contact your teacher and we can help you get set up and finding your access through the school district website.
Thank you. So I am not seeing any more questions. And again, we want to thank all of you attendees for joining us here today. We had some great conversations and great questions. We will be sending a follow-up email with an opportunity to provide your feedback via survey, as well as links to the resources.